Welcome to Tech presented by Kaizen, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. This session has been pre-recorded and will include additional FAQs related to this specific topic at the end of the presentation. We hope it is 15 minutes well spent. Let's get started. I would like to introduce Kaizen's own Scott Cain.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending a couple minutes with us today on today's Kaizen Tech to Tech. We're going to be spending a few minutes talking about cleaning and protecting your aluminum parts and what goes into that, what's different with dealing with aluminum, some of the pitfalls to look out for, and how your partners can help you out. So, to begin, let's talk about aluminum. Just a few fun facts as we get into this. Did you know that aluminum is nearly 75% of it ever produced is still in use? It's very easy to be recycled. The top of the Washington Monument is made of aluminum. It's in fireworks. This I did not know until this research. And aluminum is the 12th most abundant element in space. So when Elon Musk gets us up there, we'll still be able to play baseball and have a beverage out of an aluminum can. So let's talk real quick about the basics of corrosion and protection. There's a couple different types of corrosion. There's general metal oxide formation, pitting, and the galvanic. When the galvanic is really just a dissimilar metal corrosion. When two dissimilar metals come together and kind of bond, that's what we're talking about there. And then there's different types of corrosion protection. There's 30, 60-day style. There's an oil film and a dry film, different type of protection for metals. Today we're going to be talking aluminum, and aluminum falls into the soft metals with brass and steel. Then you have stuff like carbide, so on and so forth. And then the handling and packaging. Are we going to let the parts cool and dry? Or the packaging, like you maybe see in beef jerky with the little packets that take the humidity out of the air? Some people utilize that. One of the things we want to talk about real quick is we are going to be referencing the terms corrosion protective and rust preventative sometimes are interchangeable. For today, we're going to be using CP. Anytime you see CP in this, that's a corrosion protector. So when we come to cleaning, there's four main questions. What are the soils or the contaminants? What are the parts made of? What's the desired process? And are there any corrosion protection requirements? So what we're really wondering is what else going into the application? What are the parts made of? Or do we have a process in place? Are we looking to purchase a machine? Are we going to have to do anything with CP? Now these come across in any application, but once we get to aluminum, there's a few more questions that we need to ask. So what about cleaning the aluminum? As we mentioned, it falls under the soft metal categories. That includes the brass, the copper, and the bronze. And these materials will oxidize if not protected for extended periods of time. And one of the things that's different with aluminum is the corrosion can be black and brown or it can be white. So there's a couple different things we need to look out. Additionally, there's some issues with aluminum cleaning. One of the things we need to know is what is the grade of the aluminum being cleaned? Has there been testing regarding the reaction between the aluminum and chemistry? There's a number of different grades of aluminum out there. Each of them react differently with different chemistries. So we need to know that information ahead of time to make sure that we know what the reaction is going to be and if the chemistry that's chosen is functional in the application. Second, what is the expected temperature range of the process? When aluminum goes over 130 degrees, there's going to be some problems. We're going to see some pitting and some discoloration, and we want to make sure that the process is going to be able to work under 130 degrees. And is the chemistry being utilized of a higher alkalinity? Again, the higher the alkalinity on the product, the better the chance of it affecting the integrity of your product. So we want to look at a low alkalinity product. There's a couple other issues that we want to look through. Is there a requirement for a specific machine style? And we'll go into this on a further slide, but different machines and how they agitate and how they clean can have an effect on aluminum. Is there a requirement for oxidation protection? How long is that oxidation required for? What does the life of the product look like after it finishes the cleaning process? Will there be an anodizing process required? And will this be before or after the cleaning the product? Now, most aluminum products will get anodized at some point, but is there time during the manufacturing process where we want to have the material stay clean and stay protected before the anodizing process? And what about if there's any other materials cleaned in the same application? So maybe you have a part that is part aluminum and it's part steel. What goes into that? So these are the kind of questions that we have to ask when we're going through this. One of the things, and we talked about this on the prior slide, is the types of machines. Due to the material softness of aluminum, some machines are better qualified for these applications. Spray and air and immersion machines historically perform the best for these. They're a little softer to the parts. They don't move them around quite as much, which has a chance to ding them or affect the integrity of the product. Ultrasonics and rotational machines, they require a little more attention due to the effect they can have on the end product. And part movement, such as basket rotation or vertical oscillation, can greatly reduce or eliminate ultrasonic damage. So, really, what we're saying is, do we have a machine in place? What kind of history does that type of machine have with aluminum? Or are we looking to purchase a new machine for this application? And these provide some guidelines of maybe where to look if you're going to be sticking with aluminum in the cleaning process. So, talk about process confirmation and implementation. There's a lot of variables. We just talked about that. So, how does one confirm that the process will work? So, what we want to do is we want to compile all the information about the application. This includes the class of aluminum, the type of machine, the required temperature that that machine utilizes, and making sure it's under that 130 degrees F. There are any other materials in the process? Will the parts be anodized? Is there an oxidation protection requirement? And finally, one thing that we haven't discussed, has a standard for cleanliness been established? How are we determining if these parts are clean? Is that a destructive test? How are you guys making sure that it's passing your quality inspection? It's a lot of information. There's no need to be overwhelmed with this though, because what you have is you have partners out there. You're an expert on what you guys do. We don't come into your plant and tell you about a bunch of parts, things that we don't know. You guys have to know so much. But your partners, both the machine and the chemistry side, we're kind of the experts in the field, and we want to take that off of your plate. So when this information is compiled, let's talk to those companies, the chemistry and the machine companies, to determine the options, constraints, and concerns. And typically, there's an ability to run trials. And what's really good about this is it shows you exactly what it's going to look like finished. It'll show you what the cleanliness is, it'll show you what the process time looks like, the chemistry usage, the machine space, the power requirements, etc. So, what happens is instead of a sales guy coming in there and blowing smoke, you actually will know exactly what you're going to get when you implement the process. Makes it a lot easier to go to your management and get that pushed through. Let's talk a little bit with some of the issues in the past with cleaning aluminum and the process that goes into this. It used to be there were two chemistries, and you would have one in the wash, and then in the rinse, you would put the CP. Again, that's the corrosion preventative. And what would happen is over time, that CP would drag out. The wash would drag out into the rinse and out into the dry. And what happens is the intermixing from the cleaner through drag out, where the material stays within crevices of the parts, or you're moving them from bay to bay, that allows the concentration of the RP is not able to be tested. And because it's not able to be tested, we don't know how much is on there and we don't know if we're providing enough protection. So, what's happened since then? There's some newer options in chemistry for aluminum. Due to these issues for cleaning and CP, new chemistries have been formulated. And what's great about them is they're all in one chemistry. So instead of having to worry about two chemistries or drag out affecting the concentration, it's all able to be done with one chemistry. One nice thing about this is it has a lower alkalinity, and therefore it contains a corrosion inhibitor component for increased part integrity. So what you're looking at is there's now options in the field for one chemistry to not only provide the wash, but the CP on the second part, and that is able to move ahead with an easier process. So in conclusion, aluminum provides additional challenges not found with harder metals. Yet this should not create any fear. The key is to know about your application. Work with your trusted partners, utilize their expertise, and do some trials and testing. I know a lot of the chemistry companies and machine companies are welcoming to have you into the facility to bring your parts to run those trials. And then that makes the implementation so much smoother and painless because you know exactly what you're looking for. So, a couple things real quick. These are some of the frequently asked questions that we get. And as you see in the bottom right hand corner, if there's any more questions, feel free to email us at tech2tech@kaizen.com. Our team will take a look at your questions, answer any questions that you may have, and can open up a dialogue to make you feel comfortable and confident in your cleaning process. So, number one, does the CP in these products leave a visible film on the parts? So, in most cases, it will not leave a visible film. However, if the concentration is over 5% in the final rinse of a batch system, or really any system that has an air knife presence, there can be a visible film. What about cast aluminum versus extruded aluminum? Treated in the same regarding corrosion protection. And the short answer is no. Because the other metals present in cast aluminum, such as copper, it's a little more difficult. But that being it said, it can be achieved with proper chemistry and process control and kind of walking through the entire process. But it is going to be a little bit different than if you're just doing the extruded aluminum. The third question on here is if my application involves both aluminum and steel parts, does this need to be two separate processes? It does not need to be two separate processes, but what we need to do is evaluate the chemistry that's being used. A chemistry that is good for just aluminum is going to look a little bit different than a chemistry that is used for aluminum and steel. So we just need to walk through that application and understand everything that's going into it. And finally, how long can the cleaner CP combination products protect aluminum? A long-term protection over 1 year can be achieved at a concentration at 4 to 6% in the final rinse. So I thank you guys for your time and hopefully you found this valuable. And I'm going to send it over to William to wrap it up.
Thanks, Scott, and thank you for all watching this Tech to Tech session. If you would like to discuss this topic further or have any questions not answered in the session, please contact your local Kaizen regional manager or send an email to tech at kaizen.com, and we will have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. Do you want to have exclusive access to future content sent directly to your inbox, or do you know someone who would benefit from these sessions? If the answer is yes, just go to tech by kaizen.com and fill out the subscription form. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.